Okay, this video is to show you how to do task 7b for linear modeling. And you might want to come back and watch this video if you end up using linear modeling for your IA, because this can be used for a super large scale amount of data. Even though I'm going to show you how to do it for 10 data points, you could do it for 1,000 data points and you'd use the exact same procedure. Okay, so I just opened up a Google Sheet. I'm going to call it task 7b. It's always good to name your Google Sheets and put it in the folder that you want to find it later. Let's see, I am going to do the same problem we did in 7a, except I'm going to do everything in Google Sheets. I'm going to use these formulas at the end, but first I'm going to prepare 5 columns of data, which are going to feed these 3 equations, C, M, and R. Notice that the ingredients are all sigma x, which looks like this one here, sigma x, sigma y, those are the first 2. And then there's sigma x squared, and then there's sigma y squared, which sigma y squared, there it is, sigma y squared right there, and sigma xy right there. Okay, so with those 5 ingredients, we can do all these calculations. Oh, of course, and we also need n, which is the number of data points. In this case, it's 10. Okay, so just those 6 numbers, and you're able to calculate C, M, and R. So I really like these equations when I'm doing a large-scale linear regression. Okay, so I'm going to title the columns, the 5 columns. The first column is the x column. The second column is the y column. The third column would be the x squared column. I just write x squared because it's kind of hard to write x with 2 superscript in Excel. Y squared and x times y. And I'm going to first fill in the first 2 columns of data. These 2 rows are going to become 2 columns here. So 25, 32, 27, 39, 35, 24, 30, 36, 29, and 35. Then I'm going to fill in the y column. And you have to put the x and the y's in the same order they are given because they are ordered pairs. If you do something silly like putting them in order or something, you're just going to ruin the calculation. Okay, so I have all my x and y. Now I need to generate my x squared, which would be, you type, I'm going to assume that you haven't used Google Sheets before, so you put the cursor into C2, right, and you put an equal sign there. That's going to prompt you to put in some kind of math formula. So click in C2, press equals, click on A2. What we want is the A2 value squared. So we're going to put the caret sign, which is like circumflexal, right? If you have a Brazilian keyboard, you might need to hit the circumflexo, the caret, and then hit a space afterwards so that it actually prints out, and then 2. And then it asks you if you'd like to have the same equation for every single cell in column C, which would be 32 squared, 27 squared, 39 squared, and you do, so you hit the check mark. Then you go to the y squared, we're going to do the same thing. We'll press equal sign, we click on the 100, we do the circumflex with space, squared, and then we hit enter, and then we want to fill it up for the rest of the column. We're almost done. Then we're going to do xy, so we press equal sign, we click on the 25, we click on star, which is in programming, multiplication, and then we click on the 100. Notice instead of putting 25 times 100, it puts A2 times B2. So it's giving you the address of the 2 locations, not the actual numbers. And then you hit enter, and then you say check mark to fill them all. And notice when I click on each one of these cells, the addresses change depending on which row you are. This is the magic of spreadsheets. This is why spreadsheets can do a lot of huge calculations with very little user knowledge. Okay, so we have all 5 columns that we need. Now we're going to need sigma y and sigma x squared, not x and y. Remember, sigma is total of, so I need the total of the x column. I need the total of the y column. So the way I do that is I could just press equals and then type sum, left parentheses, and then I will highlight from 25 to 35 and close parentheses and enter. Okay. Another way you could do it is you could highlight from 100 to 40, and you can go over here to the sigma sign, and then you could just click on sum, and then do you see it already assumes that you want B2 to B11, which is the orange part that's highlighted, and you just hit enter, and there it is. And then if I want to have sums for all of these, I don't need to repeatedly do that. I can just like copy this information to all the other cells, and it'll automatically assume that I want to total up the row above it. So one way to do that is you could do Control-C, Control-V, okay? Another way is you just put your cursor in the corner like this, in the bottom right corner. You see how it turns into a little cross? And then you click down and you drag to the right, and it'll copy that information all the way to the right, and it'll adjust the address. So like, for example, here it's B2, B11. Here it's C2, C11. Here it's D2, D11. So just by copying it, it already assumes that you want to move over to the right for your addressing also. Okay, so now we have these 5 numbers which we want to use in our formulas, right? And just so that we don't forget what each thing is, I'm just going to write below it, I'm going to write sigma x, sigma y, sigma x squared, sigma y squared, and sigma xy. Okay, so those are the 5 numbers, and of course our n value is going to be 10, right? Because there's 10 numbers here. See, there's 10 numbers, right? So our n value is 10. All right, so I'm just going to write that here. 10 is our n value. Okay, now I'm going to calculate the c first, okay? So c is, so I press the equal sign, and then I just start clicking on all these things here. I click on each element. I put a division sign and everything. Now, to do the division, it's easier if I put a bracket around here, around the top and around the bottom, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the numerator, and in the numerator, I'm going to put 2 parentheses around the numerator, and then I'm just going to put sigma y, sigma x squared minus sigma x, sigma xy, okay? So first I'm going to click on sigma y. Then I'm going to do times, because it's sigma y times sigma x squared. Then I click on sigma x squared, and then I do minus, and then I do sigma x times sigma xy. Okay? So that is the numerator, right? Then I click right here behind the parentheses, and I do a division, and now I'm going to put parentheses for the denominator. The denominator is going to be n, which is 10, and times sigma x squared, which is that one, okay, 9962. And then I do minus, and this is a little bit tricky. Do you notice that this is sigma x quantity squared, and it's not the same as sigma x squared? So what this wants is, it wants sigma x, which is 312, and it wants that squared. So I click on 312, and then I put the circumflexor, or the caret, space, 2. Okay, and then it's going to square sigma x. So sigma x pause squared is not the same as sigma x squared, right? Enter. There's my c value, okay? And then let me do my m value. My m value would be, again, a numerator over denominator. So first I'm going to put parentheses for my numerator. In the numerator, I'm going to type 10 times sigma xy. So I'll do 10 times sigma xy is over here, 19065, minus sigma x, which is 312, times sigma y. Okay, and that's my numerator. And then I'm going to click behind the parentheses, and then I make a denominator. The denominator is going to be n, which is 10, times sigma x squared, which is 9962, minus sigma x, which is 312, circumflex 2. Enter. Okay, so there's my M value. Okay. Then I'm gonna do R value. So R value, I press equal sign, and again, I'm gonna have a big fraction again. So first I'm gonna do my numerator inside parentheses, and then after that, I'm going to, oops, just doing something crazy here. Then after that, I'm gonna do a denominator in parentheses, right? Okay, so in the numerator, I'm gonna put N, which is 10, times sigma xy, which is over here, minus sigma x, which is 312, times sigma y, which is 653. And it's all in the parentheses for the numerator, right? Then I'm going to do a slash, and then the denominator is all going to be in parentheses too. I'm going to do square root function, which is sqrt, left parentheses, and then I'm going to start typing in everything that is inside here, which is a bunch of stuff, right? Now, the square root is going to be have parentheses that go around everything, okay? So I'm going to put in extra parentheses. So I haven't put in this bracket yet. I'm going to put in the bracket now. There's the bracket. It just looks like a parentheses, but it's the represent this bracket. 10, and then times sigma x squared, which is 9962. And then I do minus, and now I'm going to do sigma x pos squared. So 312 caret squared, and then close square brackets. And then I'm going to do multiply. I always need to put a multiply. I can't just like put the parentheses next to each other. And then I'm going to start this new square bracket, which would be 10 times sigma y squared, which is over here, and then minus sigma y pos squared. So that'll be sigma y pos circumflex 2. And then I close the square bracket here, and then I close the parentheses for the square root. Enter. And so my R value is negative 0.987, which is very strong. Now, how would this become your IA calculation? Okay, so in your IA, you would present this table, okay? When you present this table, you will explain all the steps that you did, okay? Of course, they know that you did all the additions and these multiplications using a spreadsheet. Then you're going to present these formulas, okay? When you present the formulas, you should cite a source for these formulas, and you cannot cite this spreadsheet. You need to go online or find a Max textbook with these formulas and cite them. And then you're going to, after you show the formulas, you're going to show how you substituted in all these values into the formula, and then in 1 or 2 steps, you're going to simplify them to appropriate values for C, M, and R, and then you're going to, demonstrate how these are useful and interpret them, interpret the R value, etc. Okay, so that's how it's going to become part of your IA.